Hello, one and all. Today I want to talk about villains who are destined to die. Now, this is a series I've wanted to do a video on for a very long time, but I just haven't had a reason to until now. Yay! It is finally out physically in paperback, and I highly, highly recommend you go read it. It is such an amazing series, and one of the best written isekai I have ever seen. And I know there are a lot of people online who are complaining, oh, boo, everything's an isekai, there are too many isekai, boo! And I do certainly see their point. There's nothing more annoying than an isekai that doesn't actually need to be a freaking isekai. For example, this one series I was reading a couple days ago, 100 freaking chapters in, it was suddenly revealed the protagonist has memories of her past life in Japan. 100 freaking chapters in, they suddenly reveal this has been isekai all along. Yay! And it served, literally no purpose whatsoever freaking ever. All it did was really explain why the protagonist was so willing to die, because she figured, oh, if I die, I'll get reborn in another world somewhere else, which, seriously, that's stupid. That is so utterly stupid. But of course, there are other isekai that fully justify themselves, being a freaking isekai. Best example I can think of would probably be, Mushoku Tensei. The entire series is basically Rudy's journey to live a happy life, to become someone less sad and pathetic than he was back in Japan, to make sure he was able to die without regrets the second time around. And this series justifies it in a slightly different way, as the protagonist basically ends up reincarnating into a fantasy world as essentially a fantasy version of herself. I mean, back on Earth, she was essentially adopted into a rich family who hated and despised her and made her feel so utterly unwelcome. And here she finds herself reincarnating into Penelope Eckhart, the adopted daughter of a duke, whose entire family makes her feel just so utterly unwelcome. And this creates a very interesting dynamic for our protagonist, our unnamed protagonist, who we'll refer to as Penelope moving forward, because essentially she has feelings for this family because those are the feelings she had for her old family. Feelings of, hatred and anger and serious resentment that she's able to basically project onto these people, even though she has no past with them. It's basically the same thing as her having a past with them. Yay! But because they aren't actually her family, there is a distance there that allows her basically to speak up for herself, allows her to stand up and say all the things she always wanted to say back on Earth, which, good for her. So good for her. Though she isn't always able to speak her mind, because as the title says, villains are destined to die, and unfortunately Penelope is the villainess of this story, meaning that even one wrong move can lead to her immediate death. Oh no! Yes, this is not only an isekai, but a villainous isekai. And for those who don't know, villainous isekais are incredibly popular. They probably make up like 20% of all isekai right now. And I do certainly see their appeal. A typical isekai, oh, you are the hero, handpicked by God to save this world. Meaning, Destiny basically says the hero must win. Whereas, being reincarnated as a villainess means essentially the complete opposite. Fate, destiny, and the story itself demands that you must lose. You don't have any, insanely overpowered abilities or anything like that, and instead you need to rely on your wit and intellect to save the day. Yay! Unfortunately though, Penelope doesn't have much of that either. Seriously, I mean, typically a villainess has something, like strong physical ability, strong magic, I mean not OP, but certainly strong, or she has, her connections, she's the daughter of a duke or a high-ranking noble, or, she just knows the story forwards and backwards, and is able to use it to, turn things around and save herself. Yay! Penelope, no. In terms of physical ability, she gets exhausted walking down a hallway. In terms of magic, yeah, I don't think so. It hasn't brought up so far in the series. I mean, magic does exist in this world, and Penelope has, the game itself helping her out, but usually that just leads to more problems, so yeah, she doesn't really have magic to help her. And as for authority, I mean, she is technically the daughter of a duke, which, very high-ranking noble, but alas, she is the adopted daughter of a duke, and for a whole lot of reasons, nobody in the house respects her. The maids and butlers openly mock her to her face. In fact, the first scene in the game is her maid serving her rotten food and laughing as she eats it, which, oh god, poor Penelope, poor Penelope. And if she complains about it, she'll immediately die. That's just how the game goes. And then there's, actually knowing the game, knowing the story behind the game. That would normally help her, that would normally be her big saving grace. Unfortunately, though, she only beat the game on normal mode, and hard mode takes place 6 months earlier, so she doesn't actually understand the events or what's going on, or how to, not die for the most part. Oh, poor Penelope. And as for the characters themselves, she's kind of looking at them through whatever the opposite of rose-colored glasses are. Because, like I said before, there's some very strong parallels between her old family and her new family, and she absolutely hated her old family, so now she absolutely hates her new family, even when they don't always deserve it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they absolutely do, but other times she's just, kind of projecting her feelings onto them, which is certainly healthy. It's certainly, a form of therapy, her being able to get out all these feelings she's wanted to express for so very, very long. Good for her. But yeah, so Penelope has, literally nothing, and yet she still manages to be one of the most terrifying protagonists I've ever seen in any series. Seriously. She has this ability, this aura that, literally projects off the page from her, where when she gets serious, when she gets really, really serious, you actually shudder. As the reader, I actually shudder like, oh, God, she might have just killed me right there. And it is just so much more impressive because she's absolutely nothing to back it up other than her ironclad will not to die or not to bend whenever possible. Oh, I love it. Also insanity. Also utter and complete insanity. This girl, seriously, at one point she actually starts cutting herself with a needle and then turns to her maid and says, "If you cause me any problems, I'll tell my father you did this to me." Holy mother of God, girl, that was intense. That was seriously overwhelmingly intense. Oh, I love it. I freaking love it. But anyway, though, like I said before, this is an otome game, and the only way she can escape is maxing out the favorability of one of the 5 capture targets. First off, we have her 2 brothers, which, yeah, honestly, a little creepy. I know they aren't actually brothers. She was adopted into this family, but still, just a little bit creepy. Older brother, I honestly can't really make heads or tails of him. Even as far ahead as I've read in the manga, he doesn't really say or do much of anything. I mean, he clearly has strong feelings, but he just is so utterly bad at expressing them. I'm at a loss for him. I'm at an utter loss for him. Younger brother, though, he's much simpler. He's basically a tsundere. He acts mean and just awful to Penelope all the time, but he gets really, really mad when she is disrespected or hurt or injured in any way. He actually finds the maid basically trying to poison her with rotten food, and he almost kills the maid, which I absolutely love. Though Penelope does explain that, in that scene, if she got mad and started yelling at the maid, the brother would have walked in, gotten mad at her, and then she would have almost immediately died. So yeah, not a great guy, absolutely not a great guy, but he does certainly care for her. Then we have the magician who... Yeah, we don't see much of him in this first volume. He's kind of mysterious. I kind of like him, honestly. He's probably my favorite of all the capture targets. Fourth up, we have the prince, who is... Yeah, not a lot I can say about him other than bloodthirsty. Let's go with bloodthirsty. Holy mother of God. Let's just say he and Penelope have a very, very unique first meeting. And then finally there is the knights, who... doesn't actually appear except in one page this volume, like, oh, that's the last capture target. And I'm not going to talk too much about him because, like I said, he's not in this first volume, but he is, yeah, he's something else, honestly. And yeah, those are the 5 capture targets. She needs to manage to, max out favorability on one of them to escape this game and go back to Earth. Yay! And, hopefully not die. And yeah, those are basically my thoughts on this volume. Like I said before, I absolutely love the parallels it creates between her time on Earth and her time in this new fantasy world. And honestly, I'm super excited to talk about it. I've wanted to do, manga and light novel recommendations for a long time in this channel, but I just haven't had a chance. This is my first one. If you like it, let me know what you think down below. And what else would you like to see me review? I actually just got 3 light novels today for my birthday. Happy birthday to me. And while I've read the manga for them, I haven't actually read the light novel yet, so tell me what you think. First off, we have The Death Mage, which is a very funny story about a guy who dies twice and really doesn't want to die a third time, which is particularly difficult because God really and truly is trying to kill him. Like, honestly, God wants him dead. Oh God, I love it. And he basically just has to use his death magic to keep himself from being killed over and over and over again. A lot of people want this kid dead. Next we have The Weakest Tamer Began a Journey to Pick Up Trash, which is the story of an absolutely adorable little girl who's living a wonderful life in this fantasy world until she's told that she is a 0-star tamer, which means that God hates her too. Oh God, poor Ivy. At which point her family kicks her out and eventually decides, you know what? We should kill her. We should probably kill her. So she makes a run for it and tries to live by herself in the wilderness, and it's an absolutely adorable tale. She just tries so hard. It honestly feels like a toned-down version of Made in Abyss, which, interesting. And, God, finally, of course, we have Reincarnated as a Sword. I'm loving the anime for this. I've already binged the manga, and now I have light novel. Yay! So let me know what you think down below. Which of these three should I cover next? Which of these three should I read first? I've so many books to read. I'm so excited about it, but I'm just not really sure where to start. Anyway, though, let me know what you think down below. And until next time, peace!